Hello everybody, I'm here with a new video, and as you can see I have developed a report which is called as movie report on my local machine. Now the problem here is, if you see here, if I take you to data source, I am using on-prem SQL server, okay, which is hosted on this SQL VM1. Now the main purpose of this video is, okay, now suppose if you upload this particular report to Power BI service, as you can see already I have uploaded here one. Now you will be having question that how this particular report data source will communicate to your on-prem machine. I mean to say that if you see that if you see this app.powerbi.com, it is completely cloud. To make the report work, we have to configure the gateway. Okay, you have to configure the gateway. We have to map this particular report to that particular gateway, and then we can run the report. Okay, so if you don't map the gateway and you directly try to run, you are going to get this particular error, as you can see my screen. So let me load this report. Let me give the parameter values, and when I click on view report, you can see there was error contacting an underlying data source, manage your credentials or gateway. So basically what you're trying to say is it is not able to communicate to the on-prem or whatever data source you have used for this particular report. Okay, so let me quickly go back to this machine, and if you don't know how to upload, probably it is very easy. So as I showed you, I have created this report using this particular on-prem. Okay, so now this particular VM, as you can see, it is here. Okay, so I have to install the gateway here. I'll show you that within a minute what we have to do. So before doing that, make sure you upload the report. If you don't upload also, no problem, you can directly create the gateway from Power BI service. Okay, so what you have to do is, if you are using Power BI report builder, you have to just click on the publish button, and once you hit the publish button, you have to authenticate. After the authentication, you will get the list of workspaces. In my case, as you can see, already I am logged in Office admin, so that is the reason automatically it has been popped up here. So I have uploaded this particular report to my KTT workspace. Okay, and that is the reason why you can see here this particular report, it is present here. Okay, this part is done. I hope you are clear until here. Now the main agenda is to download the gateway and map our report data source to the gateway. Okay, let me go to this VM. So as you can see, this is my VM, and this is my SQL where I'm using, it is hosted on this machine. Now what I have to do here is I have to install the gateway. So what you have to do, you have to go to new tab. Let me open new tab, and just search for Power BI gateway. Okay, if you search for Power BI gateway, I'll put this link in the document as well, sorry, the description as well. You can just check there, and also you can visit my website, okay, for where I have shown you each step completely, how I have guided you how to do that if you're not able to cope up with this video. Okay, so this is on-prem gateway. I'll put this link in the description, as I told. Now if you scroll down, we have two different types of gateway. First is your on-prem gateway, and we have personal gateway and we have on-prem gateway. Okay, as you can see here, so we are going to install here on-prem gateway. If you want to use for personal use, you can do that as well. Okay, personal mode has certain limitation if you are into organization, but the gateway, on-prem gateway, the particular on-prem gateway has no limitations when compared to the on-prem gateway personal mode. Okay, so make sure you install the on-prem data gateway. So what you have to do is, and if you scroll a bit down on-prem gateway, you can find here download and install the standard gateway. Okay, we have personal mode and one is standard, so this is which is the normal one. So just click on that, download the standard gateway, the installation will start, sorry, the download process will start, and once it downloaded, I'll show you what to do. As you can see, I have downloaded this particular gateway. Now I will double click and install this particular gateway. So let me minimize this. Okay, so make sure in what machine your SQL is hosted, you install there itself for low latency. I'm not saying that you can't install in other VM. If it is domain joined machine, you can install there as well. Okay, but connectivity should be there. I think already if you're watching this video, you should be aware of those things. Okay, let me run the setup file. So as you can see, I have run the setup file, and if you are getting some kind of .NET error, so probably you have to install .NET 4.8 because it is the requirement of on-prem data gateway. So after installing, I have run the setup file, and once you run the setup file, you can choose your preferred installation folder. If you want to leave it default, you can leave as it is. If not, you can change this. Okay, so in my case, I'm going to leave it default, and I will accept the terms and condition, and I will hit install. So the installation has started. Let's wait until the installation complete, then I'll show you what and all we have to configure or do the changes. As you can see, the installation has been completed and it is asking me to give a particular email address to configure the gateway. In my scenario, what I'm going to do is, so if I take you to my Power BI and if I show you here, so as you can see, I am the admin for this particular KTT workspace in this organization. So what I will do is, whatever account I have logged in here, I will be using this particular account to sign into the gateway. Okay, because once you create a gateway on this particular account, and when you are going to map the gateway here or create a new gateway connection here, it will automatically pops up with a gateway name. So I'll show you that within a minute. In my case, as you can see, I have uploaded to this workspace. I am the admin for this workspace. Now I'll go back to my machine and I will sign in with that particular ID. Once you give the ID, the required email ID, click on sign in. So as you can see, I have signed in to my gateway using this particular account. Now here we have two options, either to create a new one or register or migrate the existing one. So if you have the existing gateway already registered and you are migrating or moving to a different machine, then you can use this option, and for this you need a recovery key, otherwise you will not be able to register it. But in my case, as I told, it is new setup and this is the first time when I am going to create a gateway for my reports. So I'll just click the first option and hit next. Once you hit next, now we have to give a name. So I will give a name. You can give any name, it is not required to give a specific name. So let me give a name so that it could be easily recognized. Okay, so I've given a name. Now I have to give a recovery key. So you remember the second option where it was saying you want to recover or migrate. So this recovery key will come into picture when you are trying to migrate or move it. Okay, as you know, so probably this is a new setup, that is the reason it is asking you to create. So I will give a recovery name. So make sure you don't forget this, because once you configure this gateway, you will not be able to get this recovery key back. Okay, so make sure you back up this in future if you're trying to migrate or reinstall or something happen to your machine. Okay, so make sure to keep it safely for future purpose. So once you give the recovery key, okay, if you want to change the region, you can change. In my case, it is Central India, so I will leave this as default and I will hit configure. Now as you can see, I have successfully configured the gateway. I have to go back to my Power BI and configure this particular gateway to my report. Okay, so let me just go back to my Power BI, and as you can see here, I am in the Power BI. If you remember at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that if you have uploaded the gateway, if you have uploaded the report, you can do the configuration from there as well and from here as well. Okay, now suppose if you have uploaded the report, so what you have to do is hover over the mouse or cursor on this particular three dot option. As you can see, more options, click on this and go to manage. Once you go to manage, you can see it is showing us that use an on-prem gateway or VNet data gateway, and you can see the SQL VM2 KTT gateway is already recognized. Okay, now what I have to do here is I have to configure this particular gateway. So I don't have one, so what I have to do is click on this play button. As you can see, view data source, and if you click on this play button, it is like a drop down and you can see the SQL server name and everything is visible here. Now click here to add to gateway. Okay, so now this option is available when you have uploaded this particular report. Now suppose if you have not uploaded this report, then what you have to do is go to this gear icon, settings gear icon at the top, and go to manage connections and gateway. Okay, so once you hit manage connections and gateway, go to on-prem data source, and once you come here, as you can see, already I have the gateway, but in your case it will be completely empty. So what you have to do, go to connections and click on new. At the top you can find new and you have to create a gateway. The same thing happens when you click on the report and come back here. Okay, both will land up here itself. You will get this page anyhow. Okay, somehow. So click on connections, click on new. Once you click on new, if you drop down this gateway cluster name, as you can see, it is showing us that SQL VM2 KTT gateway. So the reason why it is visible here, because if you go to our VM, as I told, when you sign into this particular on-prem data gateway to register this machine or data source, it will take the name which you have given here. That is the reason when you go to Power BI service, it is using the same account. That is the reason it is able to recognize here and it is showing up here. Okay, So once you come here and select the cluster gateway, in my case already I have created new one, that is the reason I'm able to see one. And now here we have to give a friendly name to this so that it should be easily be visible to all the Power BI users or whomever you give access. So I'll just give a friendly name to this. So I've given the name. Now we have to specify the connection type. In my case it is Microsoft SQL Server, so I'll just give SQL Server, as you can see here. Once you give the SQL Server, now we have to specify the server name. Either you can give the IP or you can go with the SQL Server name as well, and the database which you have to configure the report, to create the report. Okay, so let me put these details, and if you're not aware how to get this, you can just go to your machine and you can just connect to your SQL Server. And as you can see, when you hit click click on connect database, and now what you have to do, you have to copy this complete name here. Okay, so in my case it is named instance, that is the reason VM name and database name is present, the SQL database name. If you have not seen my other videos regarding named instance and default instance, you can go watch that video, you will get an idea what I'm trying to say is. Okay, so in my case it is named instance, so what you have to do is you have to just copy this. No matter what is the server name, you just copy it and go back to your Power BI. So I've given the server name. Now I have to give the database name. So database name is movies, and as you can see, I can see here, that is the reason I'm able to put here. Once this is done, what you have to do is you have to select the authentication type, authentication mode. So we have basic, Windows, auth 2 and service principal. So I don't think so you should be familiar or we should be knowing about service principal. This is related completely different topic. So we'll talk about this basic, Windows and auth 2. So auth 2 is like SSO. So suppose if you are signing into any of your application using Entra ID, you know that once you click sign in, automatically it will logged into you in that particular application. Okay, that's how auth 2 works. So in my case I don't have this. And coming to basic and SQL Windows authentication, if you use Windows authentication, then what you have to do is, for this machine, whatever account you are using, you have to give that account. And if you are not sure what account you are using for this machine, what you can do is you can go to CMD. Okay, open command prompt and you have to type who am I. Once you type who am I, now as you can see, I'm using this particular account to log into this VM and make sure that this particular account has complete access to the SQL Server which we are using. Okay, so in my case already permissions and everything is there. As you can see here, I have to give the username and password. So let me give that. So it is ktt/SQL admin. Okay, so I've given the SQL admin. Now I'll give a password, and once you give the password, you have to not touch anything apart from this, leave everything default. Okay, if you're new to this, otherwise you can just make some changes here, it is not even required, and just hit create. Once you hit create, your gateway will be live. As you can see, already it is live. And if Windows authentication is not working, then you can go with basic authentication. Basic authentication is nothing but your SQL Server authentication. And if you are aware what is SA account, or you have created a manual entry for the user with password, then you can use that account. In my case, as you can see, SA account. So this is also works as a SQL Server authentication. So that is the reason what they are talking about here is basic authentication. So you can use that as well. Once you configure the gateway, and if it is working successfully, well and good. And if it is not working, then probably you have to consult to Microsoft why this is not working. It could be some reasons like network or some other backend related stuff, but you can try a couple of things, like using the IP, using the SQL Server name, using the VM name. We have a couple of options to connect to the machine. So in my case, as you can see, everything is well and good and configured properly. So I'm going to discard this. Now as you can see, my gateway is online. Now I'll go back to my workspace and I will go to that report. Here is the report, and if I map the gateway now, and after mapping, if I connect, if I hit this plus icon, the play icon, now you can see that we have an option to map the gateway. The reason why we are getting this option, because already we have created the gateway. That is the reason. If you have not created, just go and create one and automatically it will be populated. Okay, so let me select this and SQL VM2 Office admin, and I will hit apply. Once this is done, the gateway is mapped, and now when I look at this particular report again, I mean to say when I try to run, it will work without any problem. Okay, so now the gateway is mapped, and once I hit run, it will start loading the report. Okay, now one more thing, you will be having couple of questions, like, so always we have to map the gateway for all the reports. Actually the answer to that question is no. The reason why I'm saying is, if you're using the same database to create multiple reports or n number of reports, once you map the gateway, the report will have the metadata, and the Power BI, once you upload to the Power BI, it will recognize the particular data source and it will automatically map it for you. No need to do it. You have to just do this for the first time. Okay. So that is the reason you have to configure it correctly and in a proper way. And also, if you're the admin for workspace, then probably well and good, because if you are giving, once you configure the gateway and you are giving access to your users, probably they can access easily without any issue. Okay, so let me run this report by giving some parameter values and click on view report, and you can see the report has successfully loaded. And this is how the complete video goes on if you want to configure Power BI gateway for your on-prem SQL server. Okay, it is not just on-prem SQL server, any source, any resource which is hosted on your machine. I mean to say that this is the local machine. It could be Excel file, it could be analysis services, it could be manual dimensional model, or some other data sources as well, which is on-prem. Oracle, if you are aware, and also Databricks and some other application, Azure Databricks, and we have a number of database publicly available, so you can configure the gateway for those as well. Okay, I just showed you for SQL server. So no matter what data source you use, the options or creating a configuration, everything will be same. Only the authentication type will get changed, and there are certain limitations as well for this gateway. But probably if you are using the most widely used database, then you will not be having any problem. You can easily connect this way. Okay, so this is the complete video on how to create a gateway for Power BI. If you have any doubt, please comment down below, and feel free to reach our website where I have guided you with all the steps how to configure if you did not get this particular video. Okay, so that's it for today. We'll see you in next upcoming videos.